Recognise this skyline? No, it's not LA, where I was meant to be this week. It's of course New York City, where I've had to retreat to because of the terrible fires and devastation in LA. So whilst wandering around the West Village yesterday, I bumped into a really interesting guy who had some great stories and is a total nut about classic cars. One such story was that he sold a 50s Rolls-Royce to none other than Yoko Ono. And whilst test driving it, she accidentally switched on the radio to hear John Lennon singing Let It Be. She saw it as an omen. She also stipulated that the sale hinged on its chauffeur coming with it as part of the deal. So today, he's invited me into his world to chew the fat about life in general and, of course, to see his incredible showroom of classic cars, including the first ever 246 Ferrari Dino off the production line. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Elliot Cuker. Elliot?
Hey.
How are you?
How are you?
Thanks for inviting me round.
Welcome.
So this is your empire, yeah?
This is the beginning of my empire.
Wow.
Before you even say anything, let's see how much you know about early cars, especially in your country. Yeah. So I made this 35 years ago with my own hands. What do you think that is? What car is that?
Is it a Bentley?
Yes. What year?
I'd say late 40s, early 50s.
1949 Mark VI Bentley.
That was a total guess, by the way.
However, if you look at it closely, do you realize I needed two cars to make this?
Yeah.
Because they're both right fenders.
Oh, yeah.
I took two Bentleys apart.
You ruined two cars.
Ruined two cars just to create this masterwork.
First of all, Elliot, what were these, say, 100 years ago? What were these buildings used for?
Okay, so this
they
was
homes?
An old truck garage in the 70s. Now, I had the building across the street before this where I started to do restoration, right? So Harry, that was his name, used to come to me all the time complaining how he hates New York City. He hates it here. I'm getting out of here. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $60,000. Let's sign something, and you give me a 9% mortgage to pay the rest. He said, fine, call my lawyer. I said, no, I'm not calling a lawyer. I got a yellow pad of paper. I said, I buy from Herschel Bernardi, this building, et cetera, et cetera. So I bought the building for $60,000, and about 3 months ago, I was offered $30 million.
Tell me about this art.
This is Timothy White, who was a celebrity photographer, right? Well, he did this for the Peterson Museum. As you know, it's in L.A. and it's automotive museum. And this was in the last show. And I gave him a show here, and he just left them here. They're really wonderful.
What a great space.
Thank you.
So you've got this, and you've got the building across
I've got the building across the street. And when I bought that building in '77, started doing total restoration on cars. And my specialty were Rolls-Royce and Jaguar.
You were an actor, weren't you?
I was in the theater. Well, the proceeding was much larger. I'm still an actor in my own way, but I was drawn to this business because I always admired beauty, no matter what kind of beauty it was. Knew nothing about cars, but I just thought it was a sculpture, and I coined the phrase back in the 70s, rolling sculpture. And so that's how it all started. I had my own Bentley. I bought my first Bentley from Eddie Chapman, a triple agent spy for England. And there was a movie made about him called The Triple Cross with Christopher Plummer. I went to England, and he sold me the Bentley. It was an R-Type for $3,000. Drove it to Scotland. I drove it around, and then I brought it back here. And I got the space there. I parked it there. And then when things were getting difficult for me in the theater, I thought I would try to start a business. So I started a business with myself, driving these cars as a chauffeur. People would call me living in the village, and I'd answer the phone, and I'd say, hello, Cooper here, may I help you, with a British accent. And your chauffeur's name is Elliot, and you can give him a gratuity if you like him. So Cooper answered the phone, And I drove.
And that started you off in the
Yeah,
classic
yeah.
car?
And then I got a mechanic to repair my cars. And then when he wasn't working, I took other people's cars and I started doing service for other people. And that's how it all started, you know. And then I was still in the theater. I still did acting. Did Broadway shows. I did TV. And then I finally, little by little, this grew very quickly. And then I started selling all cars, restoring all cars. And that was the beginning of it. That's how it all started. Yeah.
Should we go and look at some cars?
No.
Okay. Come on then. Show me what you've got.
Come on. Let's go downstairs.
I like the car down the bottom. Is that a fairground car?
Oh, yeah, it is. That's an authentic car that came from Coney Island.
So this is Porsche Alley.
So this is the first time in 45 years of doing business with these cars that I've only had Porsches in this showroom. First time, all Porsches in here. Usually I have a variety of different cars, which I have across the street, but, you know, I don't know, the coincidence is, it's staggering. You know, sometimes, I don't know how it happens, I will have 6 yellow cars for no reason at all, or 5 white cars.
I've got 5 red at the moment.
You do?
Yeah.
That's funny. That happened to...
And a family member went to see a fortune teller many years ago, and he said, who's Gary? And they went, why? He said, we can see him in a terrible accident in a red car, and now I own 5 red cars.
Oh my God.
So I'm like, I always remember, that's always in the back of my mind, you know. I shot a TV series back in England a few years ago, and in one of the episodes, my red car that I drove in the series hit a lorry. Hit a tanker which was full of chemicals, and it exploded. So it was in the episode, so I'm kind of hoping, fingers crossed, that's what she was seeing, the fortune teller.
Each one of these cars is something very significant or special about it. For example, all right, so we start out with this. So this is the last 356 made. It's a 1964-65. They had more horsepower. They had disc brakes. Yeah. And this is the most desirable one, this 356. Now this is totally restored. I love patina my cars, but this is totally restored.
I think you get to a point sometimes with patina where it looks a little bit shabby, and you'll go to a show and the next car next to it will be painted beautifully in 2K paint and every bit of chrome redone on it, and it'll just look $1 million. Sometimes you think...
Yes, but sometimes you can take patina too far. But this is probably the most original 72 911T in the United States. Yeah. Every part of this car is original. It looks like a new car. This is a Centennial, 1988 Centennial. There are only 120 ever made in the United States.
I see the seats signed as well.
By Porsche. Porsche signed those seats. Yeah, and that's a great car. So yes, this is one of a kind. This is the only 1971 soft window Targa. Now, they actually stopped making them in '69, and this was a special order for somebody who had to have one in 1971. And it's a 911E, and it's all original except the paint. The paint in this was too far gone, so I repainted it.
But it's the original colour.
Oh, everything's original. Yeah. Every one of my cars is all matching numbers.
I like it. I like gold cars.
I do too. This is also totally original. It's a 1987, and I've sold this car 3 times. I got it when it had about 5,000 miles on it, sold it, bought it back with 7,000 miles, and then sold it, brought it back with 10,000 miles, and now sold it, and I just bought it back recently, and it has 14,000 original miles, but it's totally virgin.
Yeah.
So this is considered by paint companies and experts of Porsche the rarest color ever made for a 911. The most desirable color, and it's called rose red. And this is all original on this car. It's you put a paint meter to it. It's 3, and it's even less than 3. It's, through the years, it's thinned out.
The density, the thickness of the
yeah,
paint?
Yeah, the thickness of the paint, yes. The original interior.
I know, I love the original radio as well.
It's got the original radio in it. And yet this one is a rare car as well. This is a 1967 911S, the first year of the S series, with a sunroof, but this is a concourse car. This is, everything is new.
I love the steering wheel on this.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's all new. Engine, paint, interior, all mechanics are absolutely new.
Looks great in yellow as well, doesn't it?
Yellow is a great car. I happen to love them in yellow for some reason. I love them in
Very
yellow.
fresh 70s colour.
Yeah, yeah. So let's go across the street.
Is this a Bentley? This?
That's a fastback, just like the R-Type Continental.
That's a two-door.
However, but that's a Cadillac.
Really?
Yeah. It's a Cadillac or a Pontiac. Both of them, they had a fastback.
Just like the Bentley, doesn't it?
It's just like, that's where they got it from. The design came from here, back from an American car. It's amazing how that car now is one of the most expensive Bentleys, the most desirable Bentleys. Yeah. Right? So this here, this entire building was my building.
Yeah.
I bought this in 1977, and that's why I did total restoration. I had 17 people working for me doing paint work there, upholstery work, woodwork, and over here I had my service shop.
Just here, yeah?
Yeah, here. And that was an Anglican church at one time. You see the two buildings came together.
Yeah.
And up there I sold cars, and David Mamet did...
Playwright.
He did The Spanish Prisoner, the movie there, with C. Martin in it. And I acted opposite him. And David Mamet and I wrote the scene together in my office.
That's a small world.
Before we shot it.
But I'll do one better than that.
Okay.
I was at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art with Rebecca Pidgeon, who married David Mamet.
Oh, I remember.
His wife, yeah.
What a great story. So I got to know David. So he calls me and says, Elliot, I'm screening, I forget the name of the movie, but the screening was right after work, and I was exhausted, I was tired, I was sleepy. And I got there, and the movie was so boring.
I fell asleep.
And Rebecca Pidgeon was in it, right? Yeah. All right, the movie's over, I go up the aisle, and there, greeting people, saying goodbye, is David Mamet. And he stopped me and said, Elliot, what did you think of the movie?
I didn't see it, yeah.
And I said, very interesting. He said, what? Very interesting. He never spoke to me again.
Yeah. That's ego for you.
And I remember that all my life because I was bullshitting him. Always tell the truth.
But Elliot, it's only like when you were in a play, going back years, whenever, after the show you'd say to people, what did you think of me? Didn't you?
I hated that.
It's exactly the same thing.
Oh, I hated that. I hated it. Oh.
And I think you're a little bit crazy, but I'm not bored. You'd interest me. So why don't we go and have a look at a few more cars?
That's great. Great. That's great. By the way, I've got a review of 4 stars for being crazy.
Yeah. You know what I like about round here, Elliot? The cobbled streets.
Yeah, that's what I love.
They haven't tarmacked over them.
All of my photographs are taken on these streets. That's my little theme of those streets.
And you wet the street down before you photograph it?
No, I don't do that.
Is that a Bentley I see?
Yeah. I happen to love Bentleys.
Do you know what, Elliot? I've seen the 2-door version of this.
Pardon?
I've seen the 2-door version of these, but I don't remember ever seeing a 4-door version.
Correct, yeah. They made 18. This is a 1965 Bentley Continental Flying Spur. And I really sincerely think this is the most beautiful sedan I've ever seen in my life. It's a work of art. The economy of lines, the razor edge lines, the simplicity of it. It's so elegant. This car reeks the British culture, which I love. That's why I love it. Look at the softness of it all. Look at the beautiful dash, the elegance of it. There's a subtleness here. And
I know
a
it's an
beauty.
old cliche, they don't make them like they used to, but look at the detail, look at the
It's
workmanship, the
extraordinary.
craftsmanship.
That's what I mean.
Everything's hand-built on these cars, isn't it?
And that's one of the reasons I guess I got involved in these cars, because my heart started to pound when I saw these cars. Beauty affects me in a very, very profound fashion. And I respond to cars, art, music, whatever, with my heart. You know, that I judge everything with my heart. And this car is spectacular.
What's the engine like? Can we see the engine?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. This car has power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, beautifully done, the air conditioning, which comes up over the roof.
Listen to the doors shut.
Here we
Nice,
are.
isn't it?
All right, so everything is totally restored, everything. The last owner was the Shah of Qatar. He passed away, and I got the car.
And that just pulls closed, yeah?
Yeah, so, as you know, both sides open and close together. And so, usually, we keep more cars here, but I buy as many cars as I really think I need to.
Tell me about this, Elliot.
Okay, so this was done by an artist who specialized in the American Indian. And I bought this painting in the country probably about 45 years ago. And this fellow's lived with me for over 45 years. There's another one by the same artist, Fallen Eagle. This is my own private speedster. This is number 22, the 22nd ever made. I bought it. Gosh. Somebody called me and said, "Do you want to go in?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Well, a friend of mine wants to sell it." So I said, "Okay, where is he?" He's in Connecticut. He lives in a barn. So I drove out to Connecticut, and there's this gentleman standing in front of the barn waiting for me, and he looks like a Professor Dino. I tweed jacket, etc., and I introduce myself, and he shows me the gullwing, and it's in pieces. The seats are out, the hood is out, everything around the floor. And I said, "Well, you're the second owner, you told me." He said, "Yes, I'm the second owner. It has 34,000 miles. So why is it apart?" He said, "Look, I wanted to make this perfect. I wanted to restore it and make it the best one." I turn around, and I see a skeleton of a Porsche. This. Well, why is it apart like that? He said, "Well, I wanted to make it perfect. There were so many things in the car that it came from the factory I was not happy with, but I never got around to it." That's what he said about the car. We never got around to it.
It happens a lot, doesn't it? People take the cars apart and then they never get round to doing the work.
So that was the secret where I never got around to it.
Put it back together.
And so I gave him a price, we agreed, and I bought the cars. Now over there, you see that car?
Oh, yeah.
So that's the only car I ever had for 23 years. And that's the Bentley S3 Continental. They used to call it the Chinese eye.
You can't say that anymore, can you?
Cannot say that anymore. So that's my ex-wife, Paula. She had an art gallery.
Oh, this is you?
That's me. So this is a self-portrait. This is downtown. If you take a look, you see the World Trade Center before it came down? That's it, the original World Trade Center. The work is extraordinary. It has plastic over it right now.
Barry Gibb used to own one of these, the silver one. It was knocking about the UK
My
for a
favorite
while.
group.
Yeah.
Crazy about the Bee Gees.
I can
Of
just
all
see
time.
you now down Studio 54 and all that.
Oh, yeah, I used to go to Studio 54 all the time. I love the Bee Gees. I don't know, something about their sound that was hypnotic to me.
This is nice, the 300.
So this is an unusual car. It's a 300 SE. They didn't make too many of these.
On the air suspension.
Yes, this has the air suspension.
I gave a set of these away a few years ago.
You did?
Yeah, stupid really, because they fetch big money, these, just these chrome strips, because they only put them on the 300.
That's correct.
And what they did, the people who bought 220 SEs, the model before this, they wanted to upgrade, give it a facelift and put these on. So some of the 220s, I bought an old 220 from the scrapyard, and it had these on, but I took them off and obviously made it, you know, the way it originally should have been.
Yeah.
But I gave these away, but the brass, I think, aren't they? Heavy brass.
This was one of the last of the handmade cars for Mercedes.
Yeah.
That's one of a kind MGA.
I've never seen one of those before.
It's one of a, it's one of a kind.
I've seen an
It's a
MGA,
twin
but
cam.
that looks different.
Twin cam.
Or maybe it's because, oh yeah, it's this. This is different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all very good. It looks like an XKE or an AC Cobra.
Cobra, yeah. It's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice colour scheme as well. No, these were really undervalued until quite recently, weren't
Oh,
they?
yes.
And now they've sort of overtaken
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah. That happens to be my mother's car. She bought a brand new Hyannis Sport Cape Cod, and she never let me drive it because she thought I was too crazy to drive her car. And so before she passed away, she gave it to me.
The 6.3 is the one, isn't it?
Yeah. This is a 4.5.
Yeah.
This is one of the best. Any Mercedes. This car is fast. It handles like a race car.
Yeah.
It's an extraordinary car.
And it's the long wheelbase as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the long wheelbase, the SEL.
I've got a real soft spot for Mercedes. I sort of cut my teeth on these when I was like in my early 20s. I had a Pagoda, then I had a 280 SE Saloon, you know, similar to this. Then I got one of these. I've had a 3.5 coupe,
Wow.
which I restored some years ago. So I kind of know these like the back of my hand, you know.
Ah. This Rolls, it's a 61 Mulliner bodied car. When you look at this car, the impression that people have of Rolls-Royces, this is what they think of, not the modern cars today.
But these drive like a modern car. I was really surprised when I drove one of these.
Look at the elegance of this car, the royalty. That word royalty applies.
Yeah.
It looks like something that somebody special has to own it. It's the kind of car that, you know, that a king would be in. It's just a beautifully designed car. Just lovely car.
Elliot, a Dino. Is it the 206 or the 246?
It's
2
the
litre or 4?
246. It's the first one ever made.
Oh, and is this like a 1969,
69.
1970, yeah?
Yeah, 1969.
The first one off the production line?
This is the first one.
Wow.
Engine number one, car number one. Now, if you notice, this was an interim car. This has 206 features. This is the long wheelbase. The 206 was smaller.
Yeah.
But this is a very unusual car. It was called a mule. Ferrari didn't sell it. They made it in 69. Enzo kept it for himself, his family, and his workers, and they experimented with this car because they wanted to put in a fuel-injected engine, right? So this was the experimental car. First one they made, it has all the beautiful 206 features on a 246, but it's got the 246 engine.
That's
so
right.
It's much faster.
I think when they first developed it in 67, they wanted a kind of small engine car, didn't they? So people wouldn't go crazy in
That's
them.
exactly correct.
So is this badged as a Ferrari, or is it still a Dino, this?
Well, it's a Ferrari, but he had only his son's name on it, Dino.
That's right, he died when he was like 24, didn't he?
Yeah, and that's why...
What was it, muscular dystrophy or something like that? Yeah, I think it was muscular dystrophy.
Yeah.
He died when he was 24, and he named the car after him, didn't he?
He named the car after him. Yeah, what a tragedy, what a tragedy.
But wasn't Dino instrumental in the early design of this car before he passed away?
Yes, I think he was, yes.
And I think wasn't it brought about because the Lamborghini Miura, because he had a big fallout, Enzo, didn't he, with Lamborghini, who were tractor boys?
Yes,
and
that's
he brought
correct.
the Miura out, which was basically knocked spots off, beauty-wise, off any other Ferrari.
Yes.
And then he brought this out, so it was almost like a competition, wasn't it?
You're absolutely right. Boy, you know your history very well.
I know little bits, But don't you remember a TV series called The Persuaders?
Yes.
With Roger Moore and Tony Curtis. And he drove, I think it was a 246 GT in the programme. But Ferrari wouldn't give the programme, they wouldn't give the producers one to use in the series. They had to borrow it off a private guy who owned one. And he lent it to them for the whole series. And I think the producer managed to buy it off the guy, off the private owner at the end of the series. because I think they put it through its paces. You know, they really used the car. What a beautiful car this is.
Look at the details on this car.
And they drive great as well, don't
Oh, they drive incredibly well.
So this has got the 2.4, the bigger. They sort of did it
Yes,
properly.
that's it, the
2.4.
That's exactly correct. The 2.4, 246 engine. This is a car that, since I've had it, it's gone up about 50% in price. Yeah. It's the S2000. It's a Honda.
Honda, yeah.
But it's used as a racing car. It revs 9,000. It's an incredibly fast car.
They had the old shape of this in one of the Sean Connery, James Bond films, didn't they?
Yes.
Actually, it could have been a Toyota. I'm probably wrong. So this is kind of a take on that, which was a beautiful car, and they're silly money now.
Yeah, I love the Dino. Gosh, I look at the car.
I mean, have you ever seen a car with a rear screen like that?
It's just amazing.
You break that, you're finished. There's no way you're going to get another one. So this is steel. Weren't the early ones aluminium?
Aluminum.
This is aluminium, yeah? Aluminum.
So they call this the L. There were 3 models that were intro models, Ls. So they call this the L.
Yeah. Look at the chunky wheels, just gorgeous. I think this, along with the Bentley, they're my favourites.
Yeah?
The ones we've looked at today.
What do you like to drive? What do you have right now that you like to drive?
My daily drive is a Corniche convertible.
Ah.
Which is a little bit, you could think it's a little bit ostentatious, but it's a 1975, so people tend to respect older cars, like they respect older people.
You know,
it's not too flat.
It's not ostentatious because the design, it's a lovely design, it's timeless.
Yeah.
It's a clean look, it's a beautifully designed car. Yeah. It doesn't want to, hit you in the nose the minute you see it. It doesn't scream at you.
Yeah. But I never wanted to be Elliot. I never wanted to be one of those old guys with the cap on a Sunday with the hood down, driving the convertible, you know what I mean? I can feel myself going that way. I won't need the cap though, because I'm never going to go bald.
Another few years I'm going to drive around just like that in a red car, a convertible, right? And I'll be waving with my right hand and driving one hand with the other hand. Say, hello, hello, hello. Isn't it amazing? We talk about cars, but look at the dimension in the short period of time that we've given the cars.
Yeah.
We've talked about the cars as sensual objects. We've talked about the cars as you're older, younger. The implication is...
As an extension of somebody's personality.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, what kind of frame of mind they were in when they bought the car, whether they got married in a particular car and it stayed with them in the family since, day zero, whatever. Cars are what bring us together. The stories are amazing, and they're part of our family, part of our DNA, I think.
I think I showed this to you yesterday. So this is my Gullwing. As you see the patina on it?
Yeah.
See, I love patina. I started patina years ago. So this car has that history. Remember, everything was taken apart. Remember I told you? So I sent this to Paul Russell and Company, which is the foremost Gullwing dealer, restorer in the United States. I spent $275,000 on the car, just mechanically making sure it's perfect.
Yeah.
Right? But I said to him, don't wash the car. The car is a 56, has not been washed since 1962 from the person I bought it from.
But did you make Hamilton get a shower before he sat in the car? You're only showing me this picture because you've got Hamilton sitting in the car there.
That of course. There you go. So this is Lewis Hamilton sitting in my car. They wanted a very unusual car for him and a 7-page story about him in Interview magazine. And somebody said to the producer, there's a crazy guy. I've seen his car in the Hamptons. Why don't you find his car? They found me. Yeah. And they said, do you want to do a shot with Lewis Hamilton? Do you want him to,
So what did they do? Just use your body and stick his head on your body?
No. Actually, to be quite frank with you, he's a lovely guy. And while we were shooting, he has a dog that he's very fond of. And they had to stop the shoot at least 5 times because the dog would come out, lick him while he's in the middle of the shot. Yeah. At any rate, so this used to be my body shop. This was my spray booth here when I used the entire building. Mm-hmm. But now I just use this as an additional room, maybe to do a little mechanical work, keep some cars here. And so this is my stage. This is my proscenium here.
It's a big word for me, that.
Yeah. So,
proscenium.
Yeah, this is my show here. But you know, I must say, it's a pleasure meeting you. And one of the reasons, you know, I met you. We spoke maybe for maybe 15 minutes, but I'm pretty intuitive, and I picked up some things about you, and I realized that in some ways we're a kindred spirit, and then realized that you yourself were an actor.
Yeah.
You know,
I just act in the bars now, you know.
You what?
No, I act in the bars,
In the
or
bars.
the restaurants, yeah. No, it's kind of, you know, we spoke about life briefly, didn't we? And how you can go up a different avenue and it'll take you to a completely different place. And a lot of people have an agenda through life and they aim for certain goals. I never have, I just go where it takes me. You know, I never thought of myself as an actor. I never think of myself as a car mechanic or, you know, you just go where it takes you. And as long as you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself and you meet interesting people and you travel to nice places, you know, for me, that's what it's all about.
Me too. That's why it's been an incredible journey, and gosh, I've done so many different things, it's incredible, because I just go with the flow wherever the river takes me.
And you still go with the flow, and you've lived a really full life. Yeah. And this guy's in his 80s, by the way, putting us all to shame.
81, no, listen, I'm just getting a divorce now, so if there's I don't want the women out there to know how old I am. Most women think I'm 60.
It doesn't matter how old you are, it's how much money you've got.
No, forget that. When I meet them, I'm not going to tell them I have any money, you know, it's my personality and my intellect and my creativity. Hey, you're not bad looking yourself, you know that?
I'm over the hill now. Elliot, should we go and get a coffee? It's been lovely meeting you. Come on, let's go and get a coffee.
Come on, let's go. Oh, well, right? Spontaneous, right?
Yeah, it's great. Like I said, this is your empire, isn't it? Look at it. Wow. This is the kind of stuff that gets you out of bed in the morning. Well, Elliot, that was a nice way to spend a couple of hours. And lovely to talk to you and get your take on life more than anything. But, I don't know, let's get philosophical now, right? You grew up around here. Is this your man? Is this where you're from?
This area?
Yeah.
West Village. I'm a pioneer here.
Meaning?
Meaning when I came here, I had a 4-room apartment.
Yeah.
I was paying $125 a month.
Yeah.
And I was here because it was cheap and I had $1 a day budget for anything else. So I was an actor.
Yeah.
You know, like you. And so that's why I came here.
But, I mean, you're still here. And you're in your 82nd year, right?
Well, yes, I'm still here. I came here in the 60s. I was friends with all the artists, Andy Warhol, all those people.
Yeah.
When I started my company, they used to come and we did barter. I would get paintings and they'd get a car, etc., etc.
And you were at the actor studio as well, weren't you?
Yeah, and so
and you know
I was
all
still
that
acting.
fraternity and you know the mayor, the ex-mayor,
Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, and you know Trump.
I have Trump's personal numbers, believe it or not, in my cell phone.
I'd love to go through your phone book, I tell you.
It's a crazy book,
but,
believe me.
If you could do your life all over again, would you change anything?
No, not at all. I mean, I had a great life. I've had the greatest joy. I've had the greatest pain.
Well, you're still having a great life.
I'm still having a great life, and I'm still having an incredible pain as well. You know, it all lives together.
You get people saying, don't you, if you could, do it all over again. And most people say, well, if I knew what I knew back then, now, if I knew now what I didn't know back then. But I think that's a load of bullshit, don't you?
Of course it is. It's a cliche. It's a cliche. You know what you know at the moment, and it's up to you to develop and evolve every single day of your life. So next week you should be smarter than you are today in some way.
Elliot, you've still got 20 years ahead of you, because we all stop at 100, don't we? Everybody lives till they're 100. That's what I believed when I was a kid. When I was a small child, I used to think everybody lived till they were 100 years old and then they died. That was it. So you've still got 20 years left.
Look,
got a lot to do, mate.
I've been thinking about that lately, and if I died next week, I don't care. I've had a wonderful life. I've done everything. I can't apologize for anything. If I did, it's very funny. There's one thing that haunts me, really haunts me. So here I started my business here, and I started with the Rolls-Royce limousine business, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't have money, and sometimes I just made the payroll of people working for me. And so I ordered some beautiful T-shirts for my company with a beautiful silver Wraith Rolls-Royce with a chauffeur on it. And this woman made them for me. I'm embarrassed to tell you this. And I didn't have money to pay for them. So I told her I wasn't happy with them. I didn't pay her. To this day, I walk down the street hoping I'll see her down the sidewalk and say, look, here's the money with interest.
Yeah, we all have a few of those.
But the thing is, you are who you are at the time. You can't regret it. That's who I was then. Then I was more like Trump today. I was more like Trump back then. Today, in my search for meaning, I realized that ethics is the core of life. Ethics, honesty. You can't have a life without it.
And classic cars.
Well, like my cars. I can't, if I think there's something wrong with the car, I'll take care of it. As a matter of fact, you're going to be here in a half hour. Someone's coming here from the classic center of Mercedes, because that car that I just bought has a little thump in the front. Yeah. And I would never sell it like that. I want him to fix it. I go to the extreme. You follow me? But before I wasn't developed enough, but I've developed. If I was the same person and, stealing from people today or trying to just put a deal together because I need the money, then that would be different.
Yeah.
Not like you, I got to watch out for you. If you try to sell me a car, I got to check it out, right?
Well, watch out for each other, won't we? Elliot, on that note, keep enjoying life, mate. What a great way to spend an afternoon. Believe it or not, back in 2000, Elliot was featured in Variety magazine as one of New York's top 20 most influential people. And after meeting him today, at 81, I think he's about ready for his second coming. Don't you? Thank you for watching this episode of Classic Obsession. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. And see you all next time.